So when you open XD, the first thing that you're going to encounter is a setup like this. If you have already created other styles or other websites already, you're going to see your recent over here. If you haven't created anything at all, you don't have to worry. These things are from my recent designs. So what I'm going to do now is to start with an artboard. My artboard is going to be 1920 by 1080. So I'm going to choose the very first one, which has already been pre-made. Alright, so now we have created our very first artboard. So what I'm going to do is just give this artboard a name. So the name for this artboard is going to be one page website. So that will be the name for the artboard. Then I'm going to save this document by clicking on this and then name it one pager. Alright. So if you want to save it in a different spot, you can, but I am saving mine in Adobe Cloud. So that is where mine is going to set so that I can access it from so many other places. So we have done that. We have created a new file, and then we have also created an artboard that is 1920 by 1080. So that is the first step. The next step in the design process is to make sure we have a basis that we can go to. What are these bases? We want color, we want typography, we want the font, and then if we have any other components, we will also use that component. A component can be probably a picture that we want to keep using. If let's say we also want to use a button, we can also create a button and make that button a component, which we're going to see in the design process. So the first thing that I'm going to do now is to lay out my typography and font. Okay. So the type that I'm going to use is called, let me find the name. I think it's called Space Group Text. So this is a Google font that I'm using. So I'm going to use that. So I'm going to lay down some few sizes for this font. I'm going to have I'm going to have a 16, an 18, 24, 32, 54, and 72. So those are just bases. Probably when I am designing, I might want to tweak some sizes and some colors. But for the beginning, I just want to lay down something that I can keep using, which are these ones. So first, let's put in a text like new website. All right. So this one is 20. I want to change this to 16. The next thing is to duplicate this so that I can make it into the other sizes. Then after that, I'll show you what we're going to do afterwards. So let's duplicate this into different sizes. We're just going to right click. We can copy and paste, or we can hold. If you are on Mac, you can hold the Option key, click on it, and then drag it down. Option key, click on it and drag it down. Option key, click on it and drag it down. Option key, click on it and drag it down. So this is 16, this is 18, this is 24, this is 32, this is 54. The last one will be 72. So let's go in and then change this one to 16 already. So this should be So as you can see, I have created 6 different sizes for our font. So copy, select all of them, right click, and then add character style to assets. So when you click on this, now as you can see on your left hand side, it has taken the sizes that we gave and made them into assets, styles. So let's say I have a font. Today is my day. All right. So as you can see on your right hand side, the font size is 72. We're going to use the style that we created, which is the one on the left hand side. We're going to click on one, and then you're going to see what is going to happen. So when I click on this 16, the size becomes 16. When I click on 18, it becomes 18. 24 becomes 24. 32, 52, 72. So what this does is that when we are creating our website, we'll be able to go back into this and just keep picking the numbers that we want without having to go through this process of having to change the numbers over and over again. So this style gives us the opportunity to just have things organized nicely. The next thing that we're going to do is lay out our colors. I already have colors in mind that I want to use. So I'm just going to go back. Okay, so here I want to give these colors. I have the colors already sampled elsewhere, so I'm just going to copy them and bring them in. So my first color will be this hot pink. Next one, I think that should be that for a different color, and the rest can be black. Then we can have a white, and then we can have that little gray over there too. So now I've selected these 4 colors. I'm just going to right click on it, and then I'm going to say add color to assets. So I'm just going to click on that. So as you can see, the 4 colors that are represented in on this font have now been chosen on the left hand side. So anytime I click on a text, I can change the color by just clicking over here without having to go back in here to just go and type it in. Another way that you can also do it is by making sure that when you click on this color, you click over here, you can just add the color from here. This also makes it simple for you to go to the colors and find it. So you can click on that, go in here and add that. Click on this, go in here and just add that. You can also choose a white and add. So now we have our color sample down here, and then we have them also on the asset panel. So that should be that for our styling. Our next move is to start designing the website. One more color that I think I forgot is the background color. So I just have to sample the background color. Click over here, choose it, and then make sure that I add it to our color assets and also add it down here to make it simple to find. So we are done with our typography, and we're also done with our colors. Let's head into the design process. So I already have my layout already in my mind, what I'm trying to do. So and I've already had a little scribble of more like I have a wireframe in mind, and I've also scribbled that down. So I'll be using that wireframe that I have in front of me to design the site as we go on. So as I'm designing, I'll be telling you why I'm making some of the decisions that I am making. So let's head into creating our hero section first, and after that we're just going to go down from there. So let's make our hero section. First, as I said, our design is 1920 by 1080 for now. The height will be a bit longer than that, but that will be the first thing that we're doing. So let's go and then find a rectangle. Sorry, that's a rectangle. Okay, so this rectangle is going to cover from it's going to be the background for the header. So I'm going to make this probably 1899. All right, so 1899. Just going to make sure that it's seated in the middle. Okay, that should be good. And then I want to give it a stroke of 10. All right, the background can be white, and then I'm going to give it a radius. So you see over here, if I want to give just a radius to the top, I can to the left corner, I can do this. Yeah, but we want to make sure that the radius is applied to all of it. So let's make this 25. All right, so radius 25, border size of 10. Right, so that is that. I'm gonna give the main background for the design. Just click over here and then find this. So this should be the background. So the border on this should be black. All right, so that's good. So we have created the background for our menu. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is to create our logo. So let's drag this out. So if you want to the logo, you can use also the shortcut of Y to pick the rectangle, but I'm just going to click on that. So click and then you hold and you drag to create the rectangle. So the logo is going to be something like this. This should be 50. Probably this shouldn't be that big. And then bring this one to like a 15. I just want to see. Let's make this around like 75. Make this a 1. All right, so we're going to bring this in a bit. Change the size of this to a 15. That should be good. And then just make this squeeze a little more. Make this around like 74. All right, 74 and 60. Let's try 69. All right, that should be good. And then we're just gonna change the border to black. All right, so this will be our logo. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is to have our menu items. So our menu is gonna be, we're gonna have an about page. So about, let's style this so that we can just duplicate it. We want this to be 24, and we want the color to be black, and then we want it to be all caps. Okay, so that is that for this. So we're just going to duplicate it by holding Option and then just click and drag to where you want it. So this will be about, the next one will be portfolio. After portfolio, we're going to have another called classes. And then the last one is going to be contact. All right, so all of this we're going to just group together like that. So after grouping this, we want the space in between to be the same. So after grouping that, you're going to see there's something here called stack. If you don't group it, you don't see the stack. So let me ungroup that. Okay, the stack goes away. But by grouping it, you enable the stack for you to create either padding or spacing in between. So right now we want the space to be in between. So for the space to be in between, we'll click on the stack. We want the space to be 20. So now everything in between has a spacing of 20. The next thing that we can do is to give it a pattern. But right now we don't really need a pattern. But if we wanted to add a pattern all around, we can also come over here and then just add a pattern of 20. So that we have like 20 top, 20 right, 20 left, and 20 bottom. But we don't want that. So we're just going to close this and leave it at 0. The next thing I'm going to do is to create a plus sign. So if I want to create a plus sign, I'm going to use the line tool. So the line tool is L. I'm just going to drag this down to like so. Make this 40. And then change this to a 10. Change the color to black. And then after that, I'm going to duplicate this. And after duplicating, I'm going to rotate it on a 90. Make sure that this is still at 40. Then click both of them. Let's see whether we can. All right, so we've created a little plus sign. So after that, we're just going to group it. All right, cool. So we're going to add it over here. Okay, so I will need this for more like if someone wants to view our social media. I can add this and it can be a pop-up for them to also click on it, for them to see social media handles and other stuff like that. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do is to group these items inside. Let's group, make sure that everything is centered in the middle like that. Okay, it looks like we have a mistake over here. Let me drag this out. All right. Okay, so between this and this, and then that. But the next thing, I want to take this all the way to the side. And then also this all the way to here. So there's a little space between here that is causing an issue. So what I'm going to do is to hold the shift. When you hold shift and you click forward, what happens is that it creates a 10 space interval. So by holding shift and clicking forward 5 times, we're going to have like a pattern of 50 on the left hand side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a pattern of 50 on the left hand side. I'm going to click on this too and then click back. So hold shift 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. The reason why I could have just had more like group this one after grouping them, just like how we did for the menu. We group this and then we come over here and then we change to 50. All right, as you can see, then we also change this one to a 50. But I didn't do that because there's some little space over here that is going to cause an issue. But this is how it's going to look if we just group them and then we created the spacing using this padding feature over here. So we finished creating our menu. The next thing that we're going to do is to group this nicely. So let's group that. All right, now we're going to go back and name these things so that they will be nicely done. So we're going to call this header, and then click here to open it. Select this. Then we can call this one navigation. Call this one the menu. Call this one background. All right, I'm just going to open this. All right, so this I can call this socials. And then over here, I can call this one logo. So you name your items and your elements so that it will be easier for you to go back and make changes as you want. If you do not name your items or your element, it's going to be hard because after you finish creating your whole website, it's going to be hard for you to just go through it to know what it is or what is that. So it is really important that when you are designing, you take a little time to go in and rename all your elements as much and as clear as possible. All right, so we are done with the header. The next thing that we're going to do is to start creating the hero section. So as I said, I already have this wireframe down. So I'm going to look at that to make sure that I build the design that I want. Okay, so for this, let's take this up, right? Just give it one notch down for the change spacing at the top. All right, so this is how the design is going to look. So first, let's have a circle. So there's going to be a circle like that. All right, so I'm going to give it no background, make this a black. Go in here and then give this a 10. All right, so this is, then I'm going to put a star in here. Make sure that this has 6. Oh, I need a star, not a right. We can give this like let's say 50. Right, probably let's make this 35. Right, 35 should be good. We can give it like a little rounded edge over there like that. That should be well. Put this in here. Go in and change this one to that. Probably give this a 5. Alright, so this is gonna be a really nice. We can animate this when it comes to the design. Alright, so that's gonna be that. The next thing I'm gonna add is a line. Put a line in here. That should be at least 18. Make sure that it is centered like that. All right, nice. Then we're gonna give the size of 10. Change the color to black, and then we're gonna put this right on top of it. Should just sitting on top of that. So this should be good. After that, I'm just gonna, so what this is gonna act like is, this is gonna roll, like when you load the website, this is gonna roll all the way to the left. And as the circle is rolling to the left, the stars inside is gonna rotate to the right. So this is rotating to the left and this is rotating to the right, but it will keep moving to the left, and then it will just end and then rotate back again, and then rotate again, probably 1 or 2 times, and then it will stop. So that is the vision with this. All right, so we have created that. The next thing that we're going to add is hero text. All right, so I'm just gonna put, since this is just test website, you can put your own text over here, but I'm gonna put the name of the channel, which is OB Studios, and then I'm gonna make this really big to cover the entire width. All right, so I'm just gonna highlight it, go over here, and then keep increasing it until it gets to the very So let's make sure that this is in the center. Okay, I'm just gonna bring it down a little like that. Give you some space over there. Okay, the next thing is to duplicate this. And then change the word over here to photos. And then make sure that this is in caps. All right. So this will be our 2 texts. We're gonna have OB Studios photo. All right, we're gonna leave it as photos. It's not the best way, but that's what we're going to do for now. The next thing that I want to do is to have a subtext. So let's change this. Go back. When you click over here, you'll be able to go back to your style sheet. I'm going to give this a 32. And then make sure that the color is black and the font is uppercase. All right, so right now I don't have any text that I'm going to use. So I'm going to use a plugin. Or we can just, I'm going to use a plugin over here. So when you click on this, you're able to access plugins. Either you can download new ones by clicking on the plus sign. Then you can come in here and then download any plugin that you want. So I have a bunch of plugins over here. So I'm going to click on this and then use this content generator to generate a paragraph. All right, so a paragraph has been generated for me. The next thing that I want to do, I want to squish everything into a smaller container. So I'm going to click on this and then just squish this like that. Drag it here, squish it, drag it here, squish it down, and then drag, and then squish it down, and just keep dragging it back, just squish it down. But as you can see, there's a lot of text. We don't really need that much. So I'm going to delete some away. All right, this should be good. Anything between like, let's say like a 3, yeah, anything like this, 7, anything like between 760 for the width of the text is pretty much good. All right, so this is this too is our hero text, and then this is our subtext describing what this is all about. Then the next thing that I'm going to do is to add an image. So let me click on a container, and then just draw out how I want the image, how big I want the image to be. So, and then I want the image to come over here and then tilt it a little, not too much. It should be like around like 4, like that. Let's send this back so it to be behind. All right, so right now we're going to navigate and find a picture, and then afterwards we're going to add a picture to this. So I'm going to use this image. Beautiful. So I'm going to remove the border. I don't really need a border. So, but this is a really nice picture that I shot with a dear friend for a little campaign that we did. One thing I forgot is to make sure that these fonts are in bold. So I'm just going to reduce their sizes a bit more. All right, that should be good. I'll make sure that this is in the middle. Let me reduce the size of this a bit more. Okay, this should be good. And then just bring it in like that. Move it up. And also move this a bit up like that. All right, so this should be fine. Okay, this and this should align nicely. Okay, so I'm going to add a little more of some designs. I'm going to add this in the background. All right, this should be fully black. Make sure that it is sent back, and I'm just going to duplicate it into 3. Okay, after that, I've selected all 3 of them. I want it to be aligned nicely by clicking on this distribution sign, so everything, the spaces between them is even. All right, so that should be good. The next thing is to take this and just duplicate it. See, this is really worrying me. What I'm going to do is lock it. Yo. All right, so I'm going to go back into the layers. So this has to be selected, and I'm just going to duplicate it. And probably let me hide this because it's giving me unnecessary. Delete one of it. All right, good. So let's go back and show this. All right, so this should be good. The next thing I'm going to do is to create my call to action button. So go back over here and click on the rectangle, then draw a really nice rectangle like that. Nothing too fancy. Make sure that there is no border. Then the color is this hot pink. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is to give this, make sure it's aligned to the center like that. Okay, let's give it a little, no, we're not going to give it any. That should be good without the radius. So for the background, we need a drop shadow. So make sure that you click on the drop shadow, click on the image, make sure it is 100% black. All right, we don't want any blur. So this B stands for blur. So I'm going to remove the blur. And then afterwards, I want this to be 4. Probably a 5 should be good. And then I want this to also be 5. Nicely like that. Okay, so the next thing is to have our text. So what I want people to do is probably start a project with me, because I do photography. So I want people to start a project. Okay, let's make this small by going to assets. We want this to be around like 32. That's nice. Let's change the color to black. All right. So select this and then hold shift and then click on the rectangle, and then make sure that both of them are centered nicely. We're going to change this maybe to a white, and then make sure it is capitalized, and then we just select both of them, make sure that it's centered again nicely like that. So this should be fine for our hero section. So now we're done with our hero section. The next then is to create the next section in the design process. If you are enjoying what we are doing, you can give it a thumbs up, and you can also subscribe to my channel. Okay, so let's go into designing the next part of the design. All right, I have my little assets here that I want to use. So I'm just going to copy that asset from Photoshop and then just paste it in here. All right, so this should be good. Okay, so this is going to add more like a guide for the eye. So someone can look at it and it's just going to guide them to what I want them to see. All right, so I'm going to create a box. Before I even create a box, what I want to do is to write the name of each section, write it like on top of it, and then give it probably a logo. So here will be a word called welcome. So that should be good. That's 32. Probably want this to be around like 18. And I also want it to be fully black. I think what I should do is to make sure that these are already in black. You can just right click on it and then edit, change the color to black. It's a normal black, so that should be good. The most efficient way of doing things. So this is the section name. And then I'm going to go back to my plugins and then look for icons. Okay, this. Okay, over here, I'm just going to write in love. Okay, no love. Let's say heart. All right. There's no love, but it's heart. So anytime you click on that, it takes it all the way to the top, which I really hate. But that is what we're going to do. So this is 18. So I want to make sure that this heart is also not that big. First, I'm going to lock the aspect so that when I change one, it affects both the other side. So when I change the height, I want the width to also reflect the changes. But if I don't lock this and I open it and I give this an 18, which should be the height, it's going to look really bad. So locking this gives you... All right, so everything is proportioned now. Click both of them and then just align them nicely like that. Then I want the space in between to be evening, so I'm going to group it and then click on stack. I want to give this 20. All right, so that should be good. So this is the name of this section. The next thing that I'm going to do, let's bring this down a little. Next thing I'm going to do is to start creating the section itself. All right, so on my design, I have a box like that, and then the box, let me give it a radius of like 25. Okay, cool. I'm going to remove the border, but I'm going to give it let's take this and then copy, and then let me paste the appearance and see what happens. All right, so we have the design here. The only thing that we're going to do now is click on this and then change the color to black, change this color also to white. And then I'm gonna give this back the radius of 25, nicely like that. So, and here is going to be more like a welcome speech, trying to bring you into the family, trying to let you someone know who you are and what you do. Those stuff like that. All right, so I'm just going to go in here and then just copy this. Make sure that the color is white. All right, so you're going to bring this forward. All right, so this should be here. Let's make this a bit smaller. Okay, and the next thing I'm going to do is to have an image rectangle like that, and then have an image, move that, give this probably a 10. So an image is going to set in here. Change the size, go back to our style guide, change this one to probably an 18, and color to white. Probably an 18 is too small, but color to white. All right, that should be good. And then I'm just going to highlight this, go back to our plugin, and then get some more content. Or we can leave this over here like this, bring this down, duplicate this, and then say hello. All right, so this hello should be a bit bigger than what we have. So go back to our style guide and change this on to 72, change the color to white, make it into something big as that. That should be fine. Okay, so over here, the next thing that I want to do is to have a little button here that says let's chat. All right, so the chat, the size should be probably be 18. This white. Oh, probably 18 is too small. 24. And then the white. All right. What I'm going to do next is to add a little logo. Not logo per se, but add a little icon to the side. So I'm going to go back to my plugins. The icon is already selected. Call this a chat. And then over here we have like bunch of chat symbols. We can choose this. So I can just copy it, change the color, the fill color to white. And then I'm going to lock it like that. So this is 24. So I want the height of this to also be 24. All right, cool. So zoom in, bring it down, select both of them, make sure that they are aligned properly, group them so we can give it a stacking of 20. So this looks like it's a perfect one. All right, so I want all of this to have an equal height. There is an issue here. Do you see the spacing at the bottom? We can try and fix it by using this, closing this a little more like that. So I want the spacing in between all of this to be the same. So I'm going to group it, right click, and then group. And then I'm going to click on the stacking, right? And I want this to be probably 22. So everything is nicely done like that. So you want your, when it comes to design, consistency is really important. The difference between a good designer and someone who is starting out in design is how consistent is your typography and your font, your colors, and also how things are laid out. If things are laid out nicely, because you can have a website that is done so poorly because of layout, colors, and typography. But when your type and your font and your colors, everything is syncing nicely, someone can look at your website and say that, oh, great, there's something that I want to spend time looking at. So that's really important. What I'm going to do is to change the color of this to make sure that it stands out. Okay, so this should be good. Now I'm going to find an image to add to this. So I'm going to use this one. All right, so that's a really nice image. Okay, that's good. So the next thing that I'm going to do is to just group everything in here. Yeah, we can have something like that. All right, cool. Let's move this a little up. Okay, this should work like that. So this is nicely made. So this is more like a welcome thing like that. The next thing that we're going to do is I'm offering quote unquote some classes. So I want people to take the class. So that is what I'm going to put next. So how that is going to go is I'm going to copy this and then bring it down like that. I'm going to change this one to photography classes. All right, so next let's ungroup this and then remove this icon, and then over here I want to have something like talk. So if talk doesn't work, then I want to have something like speak. What about teach? Oh, okay. So this should definitely work. All right. So this is 18 pixels. So I want to click on that and make sure that I lock this and give this 18 like that. I don't even know where that thing went. Oh no. All right. Squish it down like this. Put it over here. And give this an 18 because whatever that wasn't it. Okay, click both of them and give them like this, and then let's group it and then give a stacking of 20 nicely like that. All right, so it looks like someone is teaching a class, so that's nice. So what I'm gonna do now is to try and then create the design for this. So let's go back here and then copy that. All right, even before I even continue, I just want to give this a little naming, add some naming to it so that it makes it easier to go back to, because if I wait until I get to the very end, it's going to be really bad for me. So I'm going to call this creative. All right, so that's the hero section. This one is the next one that we're going to work on. So over here, let me just drag this down like that. What I want to create, so going back here, text, I want to call this creative. Like so. I want the text to be around 219 like that. I want this to be bold and I want the color to be black. All right, so this might be a bit bigger than what is on the right hand side because I have an item that I want to use back here, giving it more like this nice little design over here. Okay, so let's put this targeted to come in the middle like so. That's good. And then let's duplicate this and then call this one creative class PT1. Nicely like that. Okay, that looks good. The next thing that I want to do is a shape that I have. So the shape we can create ourselves. Let's see. But if not, I might have to just bring it in from Photoshop. All right. So it's gonna take a bit of time to do that. So I'm just gonna import that shape and just drop it in like this. You can copy stuff from Photoshop, and that is the nice thing with this, because you can literally just copy stuff from Photoshop that you've made right into the design, and it's really going to work. Like how I'm doing right now, I'm just copying stuff from Photoshop right into the design without having to worry at all. I'm just closing some of the gap underneath it, because sometimes they just bother me for some reason. Okay, see that photo thing at the top? Just want to move it to the left a bit of it. All right, cool. So that looks good. All right, the next thing that I'm going to do is to add some text explaining what a class is about down here. So I'm going to make this probably into a 24. So let's go to our style guide and then change this to 24, right? And then let's go in to our plugin section. We're going to generate content. We need a paragraph, and just fill the paragraph like that. All right, cool. So we have the paragraph like so. It looks really good. Now we need a button. So what I'm going to do is to go in here, right? I'm going to right click on this button and make it a component. So what happens when you create a component? So I'm going to go back to our style sheet. Sorry, our style sheet should be here. So as you can see, now we have a component called hero button. So what happens is that when you create a component, it is more like creating, let's say, a color that you can keep repeating. So now we'll be able to just keep repeating this background. We can just ungroup it. Sorry, not ungroup it, but unbound it. Oh, not that. Right, it is copying it from this, which we don't want. All right, so the best thing is probably remove the component, because what we should have done before we grouped this whole project, we grouped the hero, is to make the component first. But right now we already grouped it, so it's making it a bit harder for it to be done. But I'm just going to copy the appearance, create a box. Okay, just create a box like that, and then just paste the appearance on it. All right, like so. That is good. So we're just gonna recreate the button again. Make this into a 5, and then this also into a 5. Look for black. All right, just make sure everything is the same. Height is 96, 407 by 96, so 407 by 97. All right, so that should be good. Just make sure that this is centered nicely, and then we can just drag this up and say join our course. Change the size to 24. Maybe a 32 should be good, and then just change the color to white. Make sure that this is centered nicely. All right, let's group this. So group it. Okay, so this is centered nicely like that. Okay, so now we've created more like 2 or 3 sections over here. The next thing that we're going to do is to show a portfolio of what we can do when it comes to like photography. All right, so what I'm going to do is to have this name again. Just drag it down, change this one to, let's zoom in so we can see what we're doing. Okay, so portfolio. like that. We're just going to click on it and then ungroup it because we want to change the icon. Go back to our plugins and then click on this icon and then look for photo. All right, we're going to use something that looks more like a gallery. So something like this should work. Let's make it big so we can just drag it down. All right, so hold shift and just make it small like so. And then just lock this and give this an 18. Okay, select both of them. Make sure that everything is nicely laid down like that. And then let's group it so we can give it a good stack space of 20. Now let's bring in our portfolio design. So I already laid it out in Photoshop, so I'm just going to copy and paste it, but I can show you how the design can be made also over here. But as I said, it's all about trying to make sure that you have a basis before you even get into designing your website on either WordPress, Webflow, Whisk, Squarespace, Shopify, whatever place that you want to do. You want to have something to stand on. You do not just want to go in and start freestyling. You have no idea where you're going. But having a design already in place, it gives you something to stand on, and you can make changes as you're designing. That is also acceptable. So right now I'm going to copy the what I did, and then I'm going to bring it in. Yes, and paste it in here like that. All right, so this is more like a gallery of work that I want to show. All right, cool. So I'm just make sure that every time you have it's really at the edge of it. Then I can have a button. So now we can have this button and then just change what is over here too. Okay, start a project. Make sure that this is capitalized like that. We can click on both of them and just make sure that it's centered nicely. Okay. So this should be the final phase of the design until I get to where I want to put more like a form over here because it's a one pager. I want people to be able to just fill the form right here without going to a different page. So first I'm going to have like a heading. Let's just put in a gibberish and then give it. So I'll click on that and then go to our plugin. And then in the plugin, so okay, plugin is over here. Let's go back and then go to content generate. We need paragraph. All right, the paragraph went all the way to the top. We don't really need anything this long. Let's zoom in a little. All right, so I'm just gonna delete everything from edge like that. Come in over here. I want this to be anywhere around. So we go back to our style, and I want this to be around like 50 something. But I don't want to be too long like that. I want it to be capitalized like this. Delete that. A subtext. I want this to be broken into two. And then change this one to more like a 32. Right, so that should make sure that things are centered nicely. All right, so there's another plugin that you can use to create forms. So I'm just going to use, let's create a form. I think that should be probably something that we should be able to do in this design. So create a form like that. Give a no fill in the middle. We want this to have a black border, like a 5, and then this we're going to give it a radius of 15. Probably this is too big. Probably give it like a 2, and then close this like this. It doesn't have to be like extremely huge. Okay, good. So we're going to have one for name, and then one for email, one for message. And then I'm just going to copy this and then make this into a submit button. Okay, I want this to be centered like that and like this, and then give this one a little padding of 5, like so. Okay, so in here I'm just gonna copy this and then paste it over here, and let's give this one full name. But I want to change the size to probably 24 or 18. Okay, 18 should be good. Next one should be email, and then the last but not the least should be message. All right, so I want the message box to be a bit bigger than the other ones because people are going to type in their message, and then make sure that the text inside is in the middle. All right, so that should be good, and then just bring this in. So this and this should be grouped. This should also be grouped, and then this also should be grouped. And then I'm just going to select everything and then group it. And then I want the space in between to be 20 like that. And the space away from this, so this is grouped. I can also group this. Since there's a button, I want the space between that and the button to be anywhere around like 35, like a bit far away from it. So this should be looking like the end of the design. I'm going to have a footer. So the footer can be, say 20, 22. Then you can just have one like this and say Adobe Studios.com. All right, make this center like that. And then let's have some social icons. Let's look for icons like that. Let's look for Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, please do that. You can follow me on Instagram. Look for OB Studios on Instagram. Let's follow each other. I'll be posting a bit more on Instagram very soon, so follow me on Instagram. Next thing is Facebook. I also have a Facebook page, so if you're looking to join me on Facebook, yeah, we can connect. Let's connect on Facebook. Look for OB Studios on Facebook. Look for OB Studios on Facebook. And the last thing but not the least is YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, you can definitely do that now. It's free, and from all this design that we're doing, you can see that it is worth it. Let's give this 18. Make everything come in the middle. Then let's group this, and then the stack should be 20. Probably the height, let's do this like a 24. I want to keep everything here like a 24. Okay, that's good. Let's drag this thing down. All right, we can put it even on the right hand side, and then everything looks good. Probably underneath it is good. Things set to that. Just gonna group that. What I'm going to add one more is a tiny little thing like that. Give it a size of 2, and then make it fully black. Or probably can make it even smaller. And then just center it like that and bring it close to this. Probably we don't need that. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so the pattern between this and that, we can group that, and then we can give it like a real pattern of, so you can see the pattern is 90. Between, let me group this. So the pattern between these two should be 20. And then the pattern between this, so between that can be 50. All right, so that should be good. So this should, we can call this, go back to trying to name, so we can give this footer. Footer like that. Over here, we can group everything in here. And let's group everything here as one group, right? That's good. And then let's group these two too. And we can give it, so between this, so just be 50. All right, so between, probably 50 is too much. Let's do a 30 like that. And between this main design and that, we want to group it. So this should be a 50. All right, cool. So between this and then that, we can group that. I say the stack should be 90. All right, so between every two sections should be 90. Over here, there's an issue. You see that the space at the top, you can't remove it. So it causes a bit of issue. So I'm not going to really touch, I'm not going to try doing anything with that. But it is an issue that I haven't been able to find a solution yet. But between this and this, we want to have, let me remove that. Let's just have this 3 and just group it. And then we want the stack to have 20 pixels in between all of it. And then this and then that should also be grouped, so we can give it a good spacing of 50 like that. So between this and this, we should have a group too, where we can give it spacing of 90. So if everything is like grouped nicely, you can click on that, click on this, then we can group that, then we can say that the stack should be 90. So now between all the sections, apart from the very top one, which we have this connector, but between all these sections, we have a consistent spacing in between them. For a section between like two sections, the spacing is 90 pixels. So we can just keep going like that. Every spacing is 90 pixels to make sure that everything is designed nicely and neatly without people having to really think about what is really going on. That when everything flows nicely, like people's brain will pick up on those. They'll be able, like the brain is going to know that, oh yeah, this is flowing nicely. Let's keep going down. That is how you build a consistent design. So right now we've come to the very end of using Adobe XD to design your website before even going into a design tool like WordPress, Elementor, Webflow, Whisk, all those other stuff that are out there. Before even going there, you set yourself up for success. Without you doing this, you'll be going into the design not knowing where to push stuff, because when we're going to do this design, we're just going to translate everything here into the design, and it's going to be really seamless. We wouldn't be guessing the numbers because we already have numbers that represent the real design. Remember, these numbers are not just random numbers. The numbers that we're using here are the same numbers that we'll be using when it comes to the real development of the website. I hope you learned something. If you like this video, please subscribe, like, and then share the video with your friends. Share it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Share it all around. Let people know what we're doing on this channel. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe too. By subscribing, it will tell YouTube that people are enjoying the content, and it's going to show it to other people organically. My name is Nyako. Thank you for coming on this channel, and thank you for watching. See you next time. Stay tuned for the development of the website.